Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at a really interesting initiative in Nigeria. It's in Lagos State called EcoXL.
That's right, EcoXL. It's a public education reform that's, well, it's been getting quite a bit of attention.
Definitely. So it kicked off when was it, January 2020?
Yeah, January 2020 under Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And the core idea, EcoXL excellence in child education and learning, was really about tackling this issue of learning poverty.
Learning poverty, right. That's where kids are physically in school, but they're not quite getting the basic skills like reading.
Exactly. They might be attending, but the learning isn't happening effectively. And EcoXL went big.
How big are we talking?
Well, the aim was to revitalize over 1,000 public primary schools. Think about that scale.
Wow, over 1,000.
And reaching more than 400,000 pupils.
Okay, that's massive. So the mission was fundamentally just giving every kid a fair shot at, academic success.
Precisely. Ensuring that opportunity was genuinely there. And we've been digging into a review of the program to sort of understand how they went about it.
Right. So let's maybe unpack that strategy. What stood out?
I think what's really striking is the emphasis on data. It wasn't just about rolling out changes. It was very much data-driven.
So measuring things carefully from the start.
Yes, understanding the problems through data, and then, crucially, tracking if the solutions were actually, well, working.
Okay. And a big part of the solution involved the teachers, right? Something like 14,000 of them.
Yeah, a huge number. Over 14,000 teachers got training in more modern methods, and they got tools specifically, teacher tablets.
Teacher tablet. Okay, what did those actually do? Were they just for, taking notes?
Oh, much more than that. They were loaded with structured daily lesson guides, so consistency across classrooms.
Okay. Providing a clear path for each day's teaching.
Exactly. Plus, they help with admin, like, tracking student attendance more easily, streamlining things.
Makes sense. Support right there in the classroom. And it wasn't only teachers. School leaders got something too. Dashboards.
Right, real-time dashboards.
Right.
The idea there was to give head teachers and administrators a sort of bird's-eye view.
A view of what, exactly?
Of teaching quality, learning progress across their schools.
Yeah.
It let them see, where support was needed most. Direct resources, effectively.
Okay, so a very structured, data-informed approach. With all that in place, what happened? Did it work? The review mentioned some pretty dramatic results.
It really did. The data on foundational literacy is, well, it's quite compelling. After about 81 weeks of the program.
So roughly 2 academic years.
Roughly, yeah. They saw a really remarkable improvement. The number of kids who couldn't read a simple passage, it dropped significantly.
How significant are we talking? Do we have numbers?
We do. It went from, get this, nearly 95% of children struggling to read that passage.
95%. Wow.
Down to under 59%. That's a drop of over 36 percentage points.
That's huge in just 81 weeks.
It is huge. And what's maybe even more fascinating is how the review contextualizes this. It suggests Lagos State's performance jumped from levels you'd see in, say, low-income countries like Chad,
Right.
all the way up to levels more like upper-middle-income countries. Think Mexico.
So a massive leap in educational outcomes, benchmarked internationally. Okay. What were the key ingredients here? It sounds like more than just the tech.
Oh, definitely. The technology was an enabler, but several things were critical. First, that's structured pedagogy, the daily lesson guides we mentioned.
The roadmap for teachers.
Exactly. And crucially, it wasn't just, here's the guide, off you go. There was continuous coaching for teachers and regular monitoring.
So ongoing support and accountability.
Yes, which ties into the second point, teacher empowerment. They got coaching. Their progress was tracked. They got support to actually improve. It wasn't just top-down instruction.
Got it. Structure, but also support and development. And you mentioned monitoring earlier.
Very robust monitoring and evaluation. Yes, they didn't just look once. Multiple rounds of data collection using established tools like EGRA for reading.
Early grade reading assessment.
That's the one. And ICANN for basic numeracy. And these independent checks confirmed the gains were real and significant.
Okay, so a really comprehensive approach. When you step back, what does EcoXL mean for, say, education in Nigeria more broadly? Or even Africa?
Well, it's starting to look like a potential benchmark, a new model for how education reform can happen effectively at scale.
It shows it's possible to make big gains relatively quickly.
Exactly. It demonstrates that you can actually bridge that learning gap faster than many might think if you have that smart investment, the political will, and a really well-designed, data-driven strategy.
So Lego State is kind of becoming a pioneer here.
It seems that way. They're certainly showing what state-led reform can achieve, offering lessons perhaps for other states in Nigeria and, yeah, potentially across the continent.
So wrapping this up, our deep dive into EcoXL really seems to underscore the power of a focused approach.
Absolutely. Data-driven, structured, supportive for teachers. It seems to be a recipe for, well, pretty rapid and significant improvement in those crucial foundational skills.
It's transformed the landscape in Legos in many ways and maybe sets a precedent.
It really does show what's possible. A new standard, perhaps.
It makes you think, doesn't it? If you take that kind of focused, data-informed, structured approach, how could that apply to other complex challenges you might be facing or thinking about? What kind of progress could be unlocked? Something to consider. Thanks for diving deep with us.